What is up, Packer fans? Back again. Let's get ready for the 2025 NFL season. Green Bay looks ready to make a run. I really like this Packers team. Still young, have some veterans, brought some guys in, drafted some guys, and the coaching staff another year together. They brought Hackett in for like the same thing they did with Salah. But anyway, LaFleur looks ready to go. He really got on his guys today. But the guys are in pads for the first time in this season, obviously, well, since last season, but this season, so very exciting to see what guys can do. Obviously, running around in shorts and a helmet, everybody looks good. So with the pads on, it kind of separates the guys who are really going to be stars and who are going to start and actually make the 53-man roster. So let's dive right into it. Obviously, at quarterback, Jordan Love looking really good at QB, going into his, third year as a starter now, so he knows this offense. Obviously, he knew it before, but now he really knows this offense. Comfortable in the offense. Coming off the injury kind of early last year. Everybody said he had kind of a down year. Still had 28 touchdowns. But for Love, it's going to be a bounce-back year. I think he's going to have a really big year. I think the receivers are going to play a much better, way less drop rate than they had last year. And this team looks poised, like I said, to make a late and deep run into the playoffs. So, Jordan Love, if he can stay healthy, he's going to have a big year. I like what I see out of him. Obviously, just, new center, though, with Elkin Jenkins, but he's played with him before. Jenkins is a all-pro at guard and a Pro Bowler at guard, so I think Jenkins is going to just keep progressing, and he's going to be great, better than Josh Myers, who we had last year. So, Jordan Love, quarterback, he's going to be good this year. Malik Willis, obviously, if he has to come in, we know what he can do, and now he has a whole year of offseason under his belt, which really obviously helps a lot for young quarterbacks and guys who are just coming into a new situation. Last year, he kind of got plugged in, didn't have much time to figure things out, played well, won some games, and, the rest is history. So now for Malik, it's just going to be continue to develop. If we need him, hopefully we don't, he can come in and the Packers won't miss a beat. Then at the running back room, Josh Jacobs looking like he's going to have another big year. Pushed for over 1,400 yards. He had over 1,300 last year. Forgot where he finished exactly, but big year for him. 10-plus touchdowns. He just had a solid year in his first year in Green Bay. For him, it's going to be about staying healthy, which he has done and will do. Continue to do. So for Josh Jacobs, it's just going to be just keep hammering the rock. The pass game should open up things in the running game. And for Green Bay, it's going to be about setting the tone with the run game and then getting into the pass game and opening up play action and everything like that. So for Green Bay, it's going to be big to get Josh Jacobs rolling early. And then, a guy like Marshawn Lloyd, who I was really excited to see come in this year after the injuries last year, and he just looks like he is injured again. I hope he can bounce back quick. We're not sure the extent of the injury or how long it's going to take for him to get back. But for him, just kind of a bummer. Obviously, we have Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks, who I like both of them. They come in and do the job well. Brooks really kind of at the end of the year started getting some touches. So going to see what he can kind of do, and hopefully Lloyd can get back into it. But bummer seeing him hurt at this stage of training camp and when guys are really starting to separate themselves from the rest of the players. So then at wide receiver, a lot of guys. Obviously, we have we have Watson, who's coming off of the ACL. We have Wicks, we have Dobbs, we just drafted Matthew Golden, who really looks good. He looks like he could be a game changer, a big playmaker, and a guy that could be a home run hitter. There's other guys, Malik Heath is back. We brought in McCole Hardman from the Chiefs. He scored the game-winning touchdown 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. And then a guy, Sam Brown Jr. out of Houston through Miami and then to Green Bay. But this guy has been making plays in practice. I guess Golden said they were together at Houston. So really exciting to see a guy like him, undrafted free agent, come in and kind of push for a spot with this crowded wide receiver room. That's why you hear some chatter about Dobbs maybe being traded. Not sure what the Packers are going to do. I like our young core. I want to just keep everybody and see who kind of, rises to the top. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what Goody does, but it'll be interesting because we have a lot of weapons at wide receiver, young guys that want to make plays, and guys who are veterans now, Wicks and Dobbs and Watson, who should be able to really kind of separate themselves as the elites or the number one, number twos on this team. But we'll see what happens. Then at tight end, Luke Musgraves is a guy who I really want to see start stepping up, but Tucker Kraft is a guy that they could probably focus this entire offense around and center a lot of plays around him, like the Chiefs do with Kelsey. So for Green Bay, it's going to come down to, can Tucker Kraft stay healthy? He plays kind of a violent, form of football, a lot more physical than a lot of other players, and sometimes that makes it so that he can't always stay healthy. Hopefully for him, he kind of, lays back on some of the aggression, just starts making plays, because he's really a threat with the ball in his hands. It's like nobody wants to tackle him, and he just bulldozes guys or throws guys out of the way. So for us, it's going to be, kind of channel through him, big plays down the field, run the football. I'm excited to see what this offense can do. If it's clicking on all cylinders, it's going to be scary, especially if the receivers can start catching the ball this year. And Matthew Golden coming in is going to be a big piece to that. So very excited about this offense. If they all can come together, it's going to be something fun to watch. So then obviously it all starts with that offensive line. Can we protect Jordan Love, and can we open up lanes in the running game? The offensive line was good last year. It was good, but it can get better. Obviously, at left tackle, Rasheed Walker, probably going to stay there, start there, be the guy. We drafted Jordan Morgan last year. Didn't really play much. Kind of, fought with Sean Ryan for some of those right guard positions. Plays and snaps. But so for us, it's going to come down to, can Jordan Morgan play? Can he beat Sean Ryan out for the right guard spot? I don't think he's going to be a left tackle like they were hoping. So Rasheed Walker solidified at left tackle. Then at left guard, it's going to come down to Aaron Banks, basically. So Aaron Banks is a guy that we brought in from San Francisco. He's a mauler. He's really aggressive in the run. He's a very large man. So Banks is going to be really big for the Packers, kind of coming in, paid him a lot of money to come play left guard. And so Elgton Jenkins then can move to center. And with Jenkins at center, like I said earlier, he's an all-pro at guard and Pro Bowler at guard. So he's a guy that can really play. He slimmed down. He lost like 20 pounds, he said, which is a lot of weight for a big guy like that. So for Green Bay, can Jenkins be the center they want him to be? Can Banks come in and kind of solidify that left guard spot that Jenkins has held down for so long now? And then the battle really comes down to right guard. Can Sean Ryan keep that spot? In college, he was one of the best run blockers in the whole FBS. So if he can kind of keep developing, keep his weight down, he could be that guy that kind of keeps Jordan Morgan off the field, because that's really the only spot available right now if he can't beat out Rasheed Walker for left tackle, which I don't see him doing, because right tackle, we just paid Zach Tom a lot of money to be our right tackle for the future, and he's not going anywhere. So comes down to that right guard spot. Can Ryan beat out Morgan, or Morgan beat out Ryan? We'll see. Comes down to the best five. And then obviously we drafted Belton, so he's a very large man. And then we have Anthony Belton, and then we have Jacob Monk too. So two guys that can also play. We'll see what Belton can do. He's huge, and there's just only 5 spots, so we'll see what Fleur does, who the best 5 are, and it really is exciting because, like I said, 4 spots are pretty solidified. And then it comes down to, can Banks play? Maybe Belton's better than Banks, but we'll see what happens at left guard. But for now, we paid Banks a lot of money to come in. Seems like 4 spots are pretty much solidified. It'll come down to who's going to play right guard. Maybe Belton, maybe Ryan, maybe Morgan. So either way, I'm excited about the potential for this offensive line and the backups. Like I said, Monk's good. And then if Morgan has to be a backup, it's really a strong backup. So really excited about the offensive line, things that the Packers could do with this team and this offense. So very excited, very excited. And then obviously on the defense, Jeff Hafley is going into his second year as defensive coordinator. We really, really were a lot better last year than we were the year before. More aggressive, more turnovers. Just seemed like the players were flying around a little bit more. And now we added a piece like Isaiah Simmons. We got Nate Hobbs from the Raiders. And the Packers are just going to develop a little bit more. Keyshawn Nixon looks to be like corner number 1 now. Nate Hobbs probably number 2. And then with young guys like Edgerrin Cooper, who I absolutely think is going to be a stud in this league. And then, Carrington Valentine, hoping to kind of add some weight to him and be a little more aggressive. We saw him get thrown away by Goddard, so he bulked up a little bit. And then obviously Xavier McKinney on the back end, a guy who I am super excited to see go into his second year with Hafley and just kind of see what he can do on the back end there. Obviously there's some question marks with the defensive end and the end rushers. Can we get enough pressure on the quarterback? It's been such an issue for Green Bay the last few years, is just getting enough pressure. Yeah, we had a bunch of games where we had some sacks, but when it really mattered in the big games against the Vikings, the Lions, and the Eagles, we just couldn't get pressure at all. So Lucas Van Ness, a guy who needs to step up this year. I'm excited about Brenton Cox coming into another year in this system, and a guy that really flew around at the end of last year and could be a guy that could make some plays. Obviously, we got Baron Sorrell from the draft out of Texas, who was kind of an exciting story. We talked about that in an earlier video. But then it comes down to a guy like Rashawn Gary. Can he really elevate his game, step up, be the leader on the defense, get the production that kind of his name and his pay kind of, should be? He should be getting double-digit sacks every year. He's not really there or over that. And for a guy like him, he should be really elevated with the rest of the play around him. Then it comes down to a guy like, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt. I'm excited about Wyatt. He really started last year fast, and then obviously got hurt. Couldn't really do a lot. Just kind of derailed his season. And then we got Carl Brooks, and we got Kingsley Amare. Just guys who continue to put pressure on the quarterback, but just don't get a lot of opportunities. So when they do, they have to step in and make big plays. I like a guy like Colby Wooden also, who came in a few years ago as kind of a late round draft pick. Got his spot on the defense and is a guy that can also make plays. But there's a lot of young guys and some older guys. It's going to be a battle on that defensive front to see who they keep, how many they keep. With all the wide receivers they might have to keep, it's going to be interesting to see who makes that 53. Obviously, at linebacker, Hopper and Walker and McDuffie and Cooper are all going to be really, solid this year, coming back for another year in this defense. I think just having a second year in Halfley's system is going to be big for all these guys, especially a guy like Walker, who just takes a little bit more time to understand. Cooper took a little bit more time too, just because of the complexities of the system. So it'll be exciting to see these guys in another year of it and just starting to fly around a little bit more. Cooper didn't even play that many plays, and he was like Defensive Player of the Week twice, I think. So for the Packers, can they just keep him flowing, because he could be something special, and it's very exciting to see what he might be able to bring to this defense. So then, obviously, like I talked about X, Nate Hobbs, Evan Williams, Javon Bullard, guys who were young last year. Evan really played well in the later part of the season, and then Bullard is a guy who can play nickel, can play safety, can shift back and forth, and is a guy that's not afraid to tackle. So just everybody that was young last year and new to the system, which was everybody, obviously, because Halfley was new to the team. The second year could really be the year that the defense shines. And they were really good last year based on the year before, and just overall against other teams, they were really, really solid. Then something exciting, Brandon McManus has not missed a kick in training camp. Our kicking woes, I think, are solved. We signed him to a 3-year deal. He could have got more money, and he stayed in Green Bay. Very exciting. His passes is passed, and he is our kicker now, and he was really good all the way until the playoffs, and then he missed one. So go Pack go. Hopefully he will continue his success. And then obviously Daniel Whalen, he's just been kicking it. I mean, this guy could really be, I know there's a few punters that are a little bit better, but he's like top 5 in the league for like net and just the things he does when we have to punt. So hopefully the Packers aren't going to have to punt a lot, but we'll see what happens. And then in the kicking game, I do like, Jaden Reed being back there. I like the fact that Keyshawn Nixon kind of wants to move from kick returner to a full-time corner just so he doesn't get hurt back there. But with a guy like Matthew Golden, we got Mecole Hardman to return kicks. There's a lot of options back there, and I just think that whoever kind of wants the role and kind of can prove that they can do what Nixon was doing, or be a little bit shifty on punts. We just haven't had a lot of success on punt returns, and I can just see a little bit more there. And then obviously kick returns, Nixon's been great. Last year was a little bit down, but otherwise, we've really been solid there. So Bisaccia will just keep going, and the Packers are going to just keep developing, see how training camp goes. Family night is coming up this weekend, this Friday, so Packers, it'll be exciting to see some of the drills they do and just see some of the players and some of the new rookies out there for the first time. So very exciting. Season's coming. First football game, July 31st. Thursday, July 31st, we have NFL football. I don't know when the last time we had July football was, but it has to be a while ago. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go Packers.